Hi, it's Bobby with Office Tracker. Today we're going to go over controlling the number of people scheduled for a given event. Office Tracker gives you the ability to restrict the number of people that can or must be scheduled into a given event. This is great for people who do training, for example, and they only want to have X number of students in any one training session. It can also be used when a minimum number of field staff are required to do a particular type of job. Let's look at a couple of scenarios where this feature would be useful. For our first scenario, I have set up an event for a week-long training session with a minimum of 1 name and a maximum of 10 names, as well as a minimum of 1 contact and 5 contacts as the max. The ability to set the minimum and maximum number of contacts is a sharing privilege. We will discuss how to give a user this privilege later in this video. Since the event has already been set up, I can open the event to add names and/or contacts to the event. Let's add an additional contact to this event. I'm going to select the name and click Link and OK. The system will give me an error if I attempt to include more than 10 names or more than 5 contacts. You can see I have 5 contacts already. If I try to add an additional contact, it will give me the error that the maximum number of contacts for this event is 5. I can then choose to change one of my contacts out for a different person or leave it as is. The minimum and maximum restrictions are set independently for names and contacts. This allows you to use contacts for scheduling attendees for things like conference training sessions and use names to schedule how many internal people would be involved in the session. If the system totaled them, you wouldn't have the same flexibility. If you have your View Default options set to display the total names and contacts, you will be able to see the individual totals on your schedule. Many users find it helpful to type the minimum and maximum restrictions into the beginning of the event description. This allows you to quickly evaluate how many spots are left for a given event. In our second scenario, I have set up a reoccurring event that will reoccur every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for a 3-hour time block that requires a minimum of 3 technicians for each appointment. When you are setting up an event with a minimum number of names, you must add the minimum number of names to the event when it is created. If you attempt to remove a name from the event at a later date and you do not add another name to meet the minimum requirement, Office Tracker will alert you. So if I try to remove a name from the event, so I only have 2 out of the 3 minimum, it's going to give me an alert that the minimum number of persons for this event is 3. Please use the Include button to add 1 person or adjust the minimum number of persons for this event, which means I could either add another person back in, or I could update the minimum number of people for this event. Remember, the ability to set a minimum and maximum for contacts will need to be set up from the server admin page. We'll get to this in a moment. Let's look at how to go about setting up the minimum and maximums for a new event for names and contacts. Click on an open time slot, click on the names icon, click the checkbox for number of persons, set your minimum and maximum. I'm going to set a minimum of 2 and a maximum of 5. You'll notice there's already 1 included name because that's the schedule that I'm currently working with. So I need to add 1 more person to meet my minimum. So I have my minimum of 2 and say OK. In my description, I'm going to type that I have a minimum of 2 and a maximum of 5 for this event and say OK. You'll notice on my schedule that it shows the current count of 2 people are scheduled on this event, and I can quickly see that I have a minimum of 2 and a maximum of 5 for this event. To set the minimum number of contacts, it's very similar. I'm going to create a new event with a minimum and maximum number of contacts. So I'm going to set the minimum at 2 and the maximum at 20. I'm going to need to add 2 contacts to my list in order for it to meet the minimum. And then I'm going to put up here in my description, minimum contacts to max 20. You will notice that it now shows that there are 2 contacts attached to this event with a minimum of 2 and a maximum of 20. So that tells me that I can add an additional 18 contacts to that event. There are a few settings that you may need to adjust to get the most out of this feature. You will need to be on the server admin page to make sure that the sharing privileges are set correctly. Once you're logged in, click on Names List and then Sharing Privileges. In the first drop-down box, you want to select the name of the person that you're wanting to allow them to make these changes for. I'm going to select everyone, and I'm going to give access privileges below to myself. The one that you're wanting to make sure that you have checked for this is right here, the minimum and maximum contacts checkbox. This will allow you to set minimum and maximums for your contacts. If the number of names and/or contacts scheduled for an event is not showing on a user's schedule, they can adjust this by editing their view and default options. As you can see in this example, it is not giving me the totals for the number of people that have added to this event. So from the desktop client, you would click on View, View Options, and you would update this for the different views that you would like to update. I'm currently using the week view, so I'm going to update that one. Right here, you're going to want to check the checkbox for total names and total contacts and hit Apply. You will notice it now shows me the totals for each event. Let's look at how to update that when you're using the web client. From the web client, you will click on the down arrow underneath your view and View and Default Options, and then you would make the change in the same way. Total names, total contacts. In addition to using this feature for scheduling things like training and field staff, you can also use the simple ability to show the total names to see at a glance how many people are scheduled for a specific event, such as a meeting or facility. If you have your view options set to display, the total number of names will display even if you have not set a minimum and maximum for the event. That about covers it for today. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel to get notified when we upload a new video tutorial. These tutorials are designed to help you get the most out of your Office Tracker software. Make sure to follow us on Facebook for more handy tips and tricks. Happy scheduling!